7 o'clock, we're calling our finance meeting to order. Present are the committee members, myself, Christine Ressler, Kim Camforth, and Larry Canning. No comments from the public. We don't have any public here or guest. So we'll go to old business. We don't have any old business.
Oh, you know what? I wanted to ask Tom, maybe this, and you guys, this might fall into old business. I've gotten several questions about how we came to the projects that we came to for our bond projects, okay? And I was unclear to tell people how we did arrive at that.
Sure.
Maybe can you help us with that?
I can talk about that a little bit. One of the components of some of the projects was reviewing our capital needs, what needed to be done, and some of those items were pulled from our 10-year life safety. For example, the roofs that needed repair at Hillcrest and at Bremen. Those I know were in the 10-year life safety.
Okay.
Other items were things that have been presented by the buildings for repair. The flooring issues that we've had at Bremen and at Tinley and Oak Forest, those came out of information that the buildings provided us. Parking lot that's slated at Tinley Park, again, came from their administration, their staff, complaints. When are we going to get this fixed? When are we going to get this resolved? Other items came from our youth and government, from talking with the students. This is going back to a couple years ago, as we talked about the possible opportunities, we talked to the students about what they wanted to see. And overwhelmingly, the turf fields was an item that they talked about. More space to be able to have activities and athletics for after school, so that the kids aren't staying there until 10 o'clock at night. So the field houses were a component of that, along with the turf fields. Cafeteria at Bremen, again, listening to staff, listening to students about how that is much smaller. Our kids have gotten to see some of the other campuses now with some of the interactions that we do and the connections that we've made amongst the schools now, which is nice on one hand, but then they start comparing what they have versus the other buildings. So that came out of that. The kitchens, again, going back to that life safety, updating the kitchens, that was a component of the life safety piece. What am I missing?
Well, specifically, I was asked, and I was out with a couple that has children in Tinley Park High School, and I was asked why specifically the parents in the district or the taxpayers in the district didn't have input on a list. And I looked at them like, I don't know. Do you have any answers to that, or could you find out why?
Yeah, I can.
Or should I ask you, Tom, was it ever considered to put out like a list of items and have the public or somebody check on, this, we think this would be, we think this would be, you know what I mean, and then gather? Was that ever a consideration?
I think the initial component of it was the fact that we had such a short window to put together the QSCB application.
Right, and I knew that.
So, we kind of listed all the different possibilities, not knowing what we were going to get in terms of, dollar-wise. They could have turned around and said, you're going to get $5,000 versus the 50 or 5 million or 5,000 even for that matter versus the 50 million that we had. Right. So going into it, we didn't know what it was, but we knew that the things that we were asking for had to be more than the value of the maximum, which is what we wanted to get, 50 million. So I think we submitted, well over $70 million worth of possible items. And then we had a couple of meetings open to the public when we were talking about those for input from the public regarding those things. So there wasn't a survey done, to my knowledge, that was put out there, but again, it was through collaboration of the district staff, the district students, the district administration that we initially came up with things. Plus, like I said, things that we knew we needed to address that we didn't need to do a survey for. We knew we needed to replace a roof at Hillcrest High School. You know, those types of capital things were items that we knew we just had to do.
Well,
so.
you know, this person is a teacher at one of the local schools, not in our district. And like I said, their kids go to one of the district schools, and I just didn't have answers for them, the husband and wife, and I just felt, you know, I told them what a good thing it was for us getting his bonds, you know, and, you know, and all that kind of stuff, and that I definitely voted for it, but, you know, I kind of felt uneasy with the fact that I didn't have answers to say how these items or these projects were created, okay?
Yeah.
So I kind of felt like I had inadequate information to answer his question. You know what I mean? And because I'm telling you, I don't feel like I had enough information of how that list was generated. Okay, so now you threw some details in there. So you're saying like the field houses, the kids we're talking about.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, those are things that the kid, I mean, and that's been something that it's not anything new, but it was just such pie in the sky.
Right.
You know, people have always said, oh, it would be so nice to have a field house like some of the surrounding districts have. So that's been talked about by staff and students, but as this opportunity approached itself, then the excitement grew, and definitely the staff and the students were very excited about those possibilities, along, like I said, with the building administrations, for a number of different reasons.
Right. I asked him to come in, him and his wife to come in today. Obviously, he couldn't make it. I don't know why. But one of the biggest concerns they had were the field houses versus infrastructure. But I think there's a lot of infrastructure in that bond.
Absolutely, sure.
You know, and I tried to say that we were creating more space, more rooms, better cafeterias, that kind of stuff. But when he expressed to me that he had talked to a bunch of other people and they were feeling the same way, I was like, you know, that's why I wanted to bring it up today.
Yeah, well, I would welcome you to encourage that person to call Dr. Kendall or myself, and I'd be happy to further explain, you know, the process and where a large part of the input came from, and also, you know, explain the infrastructure that's going on, because not maybe necessarily everybody knows. But now I know we just put up a construction Facebook page as well, so I would encourage them to take a look at that. Our whole list of things, I'm pretty sure, is all itemized on there, as well as a lot of other good information.
While you're on that note too, I don't wonder that if it shouldn't be put out there, because on the same note, you know, a lot of the fine arts parents, we're getting field houses, but again, there's no auditorium for concerts and for drama and for plays, and we go to Lamont and we go to Revis and we see these great facilities, but we were limited on what we could do with that bond.
That's correct.
Isn't that the answer for that? So,
yes, that's a good point.
So the bond allows us to build field houses, but not.
Yeah, we couldn't build. I mean, initially, we were looking into the possibility of seeing if we could buy some property off-site and build a district-type facility.
Right.
And that would have been encompassing a field house, a performing arts center, all those kinds of things. But that was not an option per the QSCB, that we could do that.
Now, is it an option to build onto one of the schools for a performing arts center that the district-wide could be used, but just located at one of the campuses?
That's an option, yeah.
It is an option.
Build it off the field house or something.
Yeah.
So not having one at all is not an option, just a standalone site.
Standalone, right. It had to be considered an addition, correct. But, you know, I know Dr. Kendall's worked a lot with the administration and the students in terms of performing arts, and I think with the enhancements that we're going to be doing to our existing facilities, I think they're going to meet a lot of the needs that we currently don't have. For example, Bremen, they love performing on their stage in the gym. You know, that they really, in talking with the performing arts students and the staff that work with them, that's what they really like. They're going to that's going to be their home now. Once we get the field house up, the wrestling is moving. Right now it's shared with wrestling. So, it's difficult. You know, they don't have their own space, but that's going to be theirs, and we're refurbishing that whole stage area. We're putting money into the gymnasiums, the sound systems, and the sound quality in the gyms. So that's all going to be happening as a component of this in all the schools. We're expanding the stage area in Oak Forest where they perform, and we're also looking at the sound quality that goes on in the cafeteria, the acoustical components and things of that nature. So everybody's going to get something. You know, it's not, is everybody going to get exactly everything that they want? No, not necessarily. We can't do that, but
I just wanted to bring it to your attention that I had this conversation,
sure,
and they told me that there's an undertone, like why didn't other people have input on the list? So I'm alerting you as a board member and community representative to say, okay, so maybe you could go back to Dr. Kendall, maybe they can put that on that site and how these projects came to be, I guess. You know, and hopefully that will help the people.
The more information we provide people on the Facebook and the website, the better.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
That if they can go to that and look for their answer with updates and the whys and the hows and.
Yeah, and I know one of the components that we're going to be doing as you start seeing more progress is we're going to have cameras that are going to have video footage of a timeline. Yeah. So you're going to be able to go in and see, okay, day one, this is what it looked like.
Cool.
And then as we progress through construction, people will be able to go in and see the progress in the timeline. So that's something that is going to be happening real soon. So.
All right. Okay, thanks for answering.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Okay, new business, April bills? Questions?
I had a question on the our minivans.
Yes. That's.
I think
the minibus lease.
Yeah, the minibus.
Yeah, that we're going to get to that a little bit down later.
Okay,
In the,
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm ahead of the agenda.
Yeah, that's all right.
The only thing I had, the property tax thing, I know I asked about this last month, but it's on again this month. So do we pay that in two parts?
What are you?
Page 22.
Okay. Let me get there. Oh.
To the school treasurer, second installment, but it says part 2 installment. So that was on last month's bills as well, the school treasurer.
Yes, and you'll notice this $65,000. This is the second installment that Joe puts out after he finalizes all the taxes and everything. So it's a kind of a timing piece. The first installment is the best guesstimate, and then this is the second installment after he finalizes all the taxes coming in for everybody.
Okay.
So this is kind of the true up, if you will, for that.
Okay, so the amount that was on there last month necessarily wasn't a check that was cut.
Yeah, no, it was. That was the check.
Was it the first installment?
That was the first installment.
Okay.
There's only two. There's two each year.
Okay, so this is because it says part 2 installment. That's
right.
Just the second installment.
Right.
I thought it was part 2 of a second installment.
No,
okay.
no, just
my mistake.
Yeah, no, that's okay. No problem.
All right. I wasn't good.
Okay, any questions on the impress deposits? We didn't have any over 5,000. CDS.
It was a lot lower.
Yeah. And again, CDS is a function of timing of when they're paying things out, and that, you know, now next one will probably be higher because we're going to be getting it. They release some of their funding, so they'll be issuing checks to the district. So you're going to see this go up next month. I just got an email today from CDS saying, you know, we'll be receiving our check for $100,000+ for our CTEI funds. So they'll be doing that with all the districts. So next month you're going to see this thing be in the hundreds of thousands because that's an expenditure that they'll record on there. All right, next item is our 17-18 operating budget. No different than we do every year. This just allows us the flexibility as we close out this year to have people start to begin their ordering process for the upcoming school year. It's just a timely component. So we just roll over the 16-17 budget at a 50% capacity just to allow them to be able to do next year's purchase orders.
Yep.
All right, now for the minibuses.
Okay.
I agree with you, Mr. Canning. I was able to
Great price.
do a lot of back and forth with Midwest Transit. One of the things that I adjusted with this new lease is the annual mileage.
And I got that written down. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we were paying for miles that we weren't using. So
And
they
that
use
was
them.
my next question. Do we
Yes.
ever go over?
No, we have not. So,
That's wild.
but now what we're going to have to do, and I've talked to the ADs about this already, is we're going to have to rotate the use of these. So bus A, minibus is not being used all the time. You know, that's not the first one that you so rotate it out, because in looking at the mileage as I collected it for all the 12 for this year, there's some variances. You know, one might have 12,000 in total over the course of 3 years, and another one only 6, so it's half. So you can tell they're always using one all the time.
So it's 8,000 per vehicle. Not
it's
in a pool.
8,000 per vehicle per year.
Okay.
Which again, right now we're probably around 6,000 per vehicle.
That's what it was.
But I didn't want to go lower because they do tag you 35 cents a mile
Next
extra.
question.
Yeah. So
okay. All right.
for going over, and again, we've not ever gone over since I started this program with those.
Good.
But yeah, we're going to generate from what we're currently paying annually. We're saving about $5,600 a year through this. So we're going, and the kids will have brand new buses to start the upcoming
and they put
school
the
year.
decals and everything.
They do all that. That's all negotiated into
That's
the
great.
agreement. Yeah.
Okay. Super.
So everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Good.
All right. Okay. This P-Tab, this is one of our annuals, this Palatia, 147th and Cicero in Oak Forest. The attorney is recommending the settlement. It's going to generate a revenue loss savings of over $51,000 for us, and this is for 2 tax years. They're a little behind in settling these things. There's a backlog, so they're looking to, in this case, settle for both 12 and 13 tax years.
Mm-hmm.
My recommendation is that we move forward and go along with the negotiated settlement from the attorneys. Likewise, under this, I'm going to add under other, that second sheet that I gave you this evening, I got another one late that didn't make the packet, but it's the same situation. This one is a P-tab for AJ Federal Smith. That's on 147th and Cicero. It's for their bank location. Again, same thing for the 12 and 13 tax years. They're recommending the settlement. It's going to generate a potential savings and revenue loss of over $11,000 for us when you combine the two by adjusting the negotiated assessed value for each of the properties. So my recommendation again would be to give the attorneys authority to move forward and settle these.
Better to get something than nothing.
Yes, and that's exactly what it comes down to. It really does. Don't have anything else, unless anybody else has anything. All right.
I'm good. We're adjourned at 7:21.
21. All right.